I'm Bob Harris, and you're listening to a special podcast celebrating the reissue of the music of the travelling Wilburys. Going with the flow, drummer Jim Kautner couldn't resist making good use of the fact that they were recording in a kitchen.
I opened the fridge and I saw all this stuff in there, and I thought, oh, good, we're going to eat well this afternoon. And then I happened to have my dowel sticks at the time, so I started running them across the grate, the little spacers, that hold the eggs and things. And they're made of metal, and anytime I see something like that, being a drummer, I guess, I always have to run my fingernail across it or something. But I happened to have the sticks with me at the time. So it created a great little sound, and then somebody made a comment in the background, and so then I started playing like a little groove on it, and I noticed that if I moved the eggs back a little bit, I moved the enchiladas over to the side a bit, it tuned those little things. We got kind of silly with it, and then I started playing it more serious and everything. Somebody said, well, let's overdub it. And so that's how that happened. It became a part of the track. It was the song Rattle that we used that sound.
The fridge, I tell you, it's the great new sound, folks. What's happening?
I hadn't got a song yet. This was about the fourth or fifth one we did, and I thought, I better sing it, otherwise, nobody know I'm in it. And anyway, I sung it, nobody knew I was singing it. Anyway, so it didn't matter. The singing style is like that sort of rock and roll voice that I do sometimes on other records.
It's like Sun Records to me, that track. The combination, the sound of it, I think, is just so close to a good old rock and roll thing from like the late 50s. But partially is, I think, the guitars, acoustics, and the refrigerator.
Rattled, with lead vocal by Jeff Lynne and featuring Roy Orbison's Oh Pretty Woman growl. Roy's musical history went further back than any of the other guys in the group. After all, he'd been a label mate of Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins at Sun Records in Memphis during the mid-50s. His first major hit in 1960, Only the Lonely, set the template for a series of powerful ballads that built to a dramatic crescendo. As Tom Petty recalls, when Roy stepped up to the microphone, his buddies were in a state of awe.
There'll never be a voice like that again, I don't think. I'd never come across one. It's just to sit in a room and hear him sing. If you're just sitting on the sofa working on a song and Roy sing, even when he sang soft, it's such a tone, such a sound, such a gift, really. We used to always tell him, Roy, you must be the best singer in the world. And he'd say, yeah.
So when it was time to write a song to showcase Roy's voice, the challenge was set to provide him with a big number worthy of his vocal power and range.
All of Roy's big hits going back in the 60s, they were great tunes, and they always had nice little bits and just great little hooks and different little bits. Like Roy always seemed to have these extra little bits to the song. The structure was always quite different to other people's tunes. It was hard, really, to get a song for Roy. I think when we were writing all these tunes, I dare say if we just kept sitting there, we could have rolled out another 30 tunes in the mood we got into. But Roy was like a special case to try and... In fact, that song originally, when we wrote that, and it wasn't very good when we first wrote it, and Jeff went home and did a bit of homework on it.
Not Alone Anymore was really... It was a very simple piece. Simple, I like simple, but this was simple beyond belief. It only had 3 chords all the way through. And somehow it wasn't... I felt... I'd taken a tape home and listened to it, and it was driving me nuts because it wasn't doing Roy justice, and I thought, I'm going to have to change the chords to make the tune go somewhere. And I did, and I changed the chords. I changed nearly all the chords in the whole song. Went into the studio really early one day, like about 10 o'clock in the morning, with the engineer Richard Dodd. Double-tracked a Telecaster, playing these new chords, took all the other instruments out, all the other guitars and everything. Played these new chords under Roy's voice, and it worked great, and suddenly the tune jumped into life. And then the other lads came in, and they just went, wow, that's great, amazing.
Our special programme about the travelling Wilburys continues in another podcast very soon.